Never Eat Alone, and Other Secrets to Success, One Relationship at a Time by Keith Ferrazzi. Picture this, a small steel and coal town in Pennsylvania where the air tastes like metal and ambition feels like a luxury. There's a man working in the local steel mill, his days filled with heat, grime, and the kind of exhausting labor that makes your bones ache. He's dreaming of something better for his son. But here's the problem. He doesn't know anyone who's made it out. He's never set foot on a college campus, never walked through the doors of a country club. But he does know one person who might hold the key to his son's future, the company's chief executive. Not his boss, or his boss's boss, but the guy at the very top of the food chain, a man he's never even spoken to. Most people would laugh at the idea. They'd tell him it's impossible, that you can't just walk up to someone like that. But Pete Ferrazzi had a different way of thinking. He believed that sometimes the only thing separating two equally talented people was one moment of pure courage. So he asked for a meeting with the chief executive, Alex McKenna. And here's the thing. McKenna was so impressed by the sheer boldness of this request from a factory worker that he said yes. That single conversation, sparked by a father's love and his belief that asking never hurts, created a ripple effect that would eventually carry his son Keith from that small Pennsylvania town all the way to Yale University and Harvard Business School. That's the story at the heart of the book we're exploring today, Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. This isn't your typical networking manual. In fact, Ferrazzi almost hates that word. This is about a fundamental shift in how we think about success. It's a guide to understanding that the people who seem to have all the luck, who always land on their feet, aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented. They're the most connected. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the secrets Keith Ferrazzi discovered on his remarkable journey. We're going to tear down the myth of the self-made success story and replace it with something more powerful and more human, the truth that you simply cannot get there alone. By the time we're done, you'll understand not only why relationships are the most valuable currency in life, but also how to start building a richer, more meaningful existence, one connection at a time. Let's jump into a scene from Keith's early life. He's a teenager working as a caddy at the local country club, hauling golf bags for wealthy doctors, lawyers, and business owners. He's a kid from a working-class family, surrounded by people from a completely different world. And as he walks those fairways, he's not just watching the game. He's studying the players. He notices something that completely changes his worldview. These successful people are constantly helping each other out. They're finding jobs for one another, investing in each other's ventures, making sure their kids get into the right schools, and land the best internships. Right before his eyes, he sees that success breeds more success, and their network of relationships is the most powerful advantage they have. That's when it hits him. Poverty isn't just about lacking money. It's about isolation. It's being disconnected from the very people who can help you become more than you are. This was his first major insight. Life is a team sport. We need to stop pretending we can do everything on our own. But here's the thing. For most of us, the whole idea of networking feels kind of gross. It conjures up this image of some slick person at a party, drink in one hand and business cards in the other, their eyes constantly scanning the room for someone more important to talk to. They're fake, they're calculating, and they're exactly what you don't want to become. And Keith Ferrazzi would completely agree with you. He argues that this transactional, what's in it for me approach is absolutely the wrong way to build relationships. Actually, it's the fastest way to build a reputation as someone people should avoid. So what's the right approach? Ferrazzi captures it in one powerful word: generosity. This is the absolute core of his entire philosophy. Real networking isn't about taking. It's about giving. It's about finding ways to help other people succeed. It's about working to give more than you receive. He shares a story about someone he calls Hollywood David. Early in his career, Keith met David for coffee, hoping for advice about breaking into the entertainment industry. David happened to know a powerful executive at a major studio. It seemed like the perfect connection, so Keith asked for a simple introduction, maybe just an email. David's response floored him. He said, "I can't do that. At some point, I'm probably going to need something from this person. I'm not interested in using up my goodwill with them on you. I need to save that for myself." David saw relationships like slices of a pie. If he gave one away, there'd be less for him. This is what Ferrazzi calls keeping score. It's a transactional, zero-sum mentality, and it's absolutely toxic to building genuine connections. What David completely missed is that relationships aren't like a pie at all. They're like a muscle. The more you use them generously, the stronger they become for everyone involved. The real currency of networking isn't greed, it's generosity. Think about it this way. When you connect two people who can genuinely help each other, who do they remember? You. You become the source of value. You become someone people can't do without. When you stop keeping score and focus on helping others, something almost magical happens. People naturally want to help you back. It's like social karma. The more you give, the more comes back to you. But your intention has to be genuine. It's not about giving to get. It's about making generosity your natural way of operating. But generosity without direction is just random acts of kindness. To make your connecting efforts truly powerful, Ferrazzi says you need something else, a mission. My dad used to say, no one becomes an astronaut by accident. The most successful people in any field know exactly what they want. They have a goal, a dream with a deadline attached. Ferrazzi shares a fascinating study from Yale's graduating class of 1953. Researchers discovered that only 3% of graduates had actually written down their goals with a concrete plan to achieve them. 20 years later, that 3% was earning, on average, 10 times more than the other 97% combined. Writing down your goals makes them real. It transforms a vague wish into an actual commitment. But before you can set meaningful goals, you need to discover what Ferrazzi calls your blue flame. That's the sweet spot where your passion and your unique talents come together. This isn't about what you think you should do. It's about what you genuinely love doing. What activities make you lose all track of time? What subjects do you read about just for fun? That's where you'll find your blue flame. Once you discover it, you can build a mission around it. For young Keith Ferrazzi, his mission was to become a politician. That clear goal shaped all his decisions. When he wanted to join a fraternity at Yale, he didn't just pick anyone. He researched which fraternity had produced the most successful politicians. It was Sigma Chi. The only problem? Yale didn't have a chapter, so what did he do? He started one. A clear mission works like a compass. It shows you which direction to move, and just as importantly, it tells you who you need to meet along the way. It transforms your networking from random encounters into a focused, strategic approach. This brings us to one of the biggest mistakes people make. They wait until they desperately need something, a job, a client, a favor, before they start reaching out. Ferrazzi's advice is simple and urgent. Build your network before you need it. Imagine you've just lost your job. You're panicking. You start frantically calling people, asking for help. Every conversation carries the unmistakable energy of desperation. People can sense it a mile away. It's uncomfortable for them and ineffective for you. Now imagine a different scenario. You've spent years cultivating a community of friends and colleagues. You've helped them, stayed in touch, and been a consistent source of value. When you need help, you're not begging for favors. You're reaching out to friends who genuinely want to support you because you've always been there for them. Your network is like a garden. You can't just plant seeds and expect an instant harvest. You have to tend it, water it, and nurture it over time. Long before you're hungry, you need to be planting. So where do you begin? Start with people you already know. Your family, friends, teachers, neighbors, your parents, friends, your friends' parents. Everyone you know is a doorway to an entirely new world of connections. Ask them this simple question: who do you know that I should know? This is about proactively creating your own safety net. Corporate loyalty is practically extinct these days. We're all, as author Tom Peters puts it, The chief executives of our own company called me, Incorporated. And your network is your company's most valuable asset. Don't wait for a crisis to start building it. Start today. Of course, building your network requires stepping outside your comfort zone. It requires what Ferrazzi's father demonstrated all those years ago, audacity. Ferrazzi tells another story about his father that perfectly captures this quality. One day, driving through their neighborhood, his dad spotted a broken big-wheel tricycle in someone's trash. He stopped the car, picked it up, and actually knocked on the front door. He told the homeowner, "I noticed this big wheel in your trash. Would you mind if I took it? I think I can fix it up. It would mean the world to me to give my son something like this." Think about the courage that took. A proud, hard-working man, essentially admitting he was so stretched financially that he wanted someone's garbage. But think about how the woman probably felt. She'd just been given an opportunity to make someone's day. She was happy to help. "Of course," she said, and even offered them a bicycle from her garage as well. His father taught him something profound. The worst anyone can say is no. Fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish. These are the real enemies of opportunity. People with a low tolerance for risk have a low likelihood of major success. Every time you hesitate to introduce yourself, make that call, or ask for that meeting, remember that big wheel story. What's honestly the worst that can happen? They say no, but what's the best that could happen? You might just change your entire trajectory. This brings us to the dreaded cold call. Just the phrase makes most people nervous. But here's Ferrazzi's secret. Cold calls are for suckers. He doesn't believe in them. His strategy is making sure every call is a warm call. How does he do it? He always finds a connection point first. Before calling anyone, he does his research. He uses the internet, his network, any resource available to find a mutual friend, a shared school, a common interest, a nonprofit they support, anything that can transform a cold introduction into a warm one. His formula is straightforward but powerful. When you finally get someone on the phone, you've got about 15 seconds to make an impression. In that time, you need to: first, establish credibility. Mention the familiar person or organization you have in common. "Hi, John. My name is Keith Ferrazzi. Our mutual friend Jane Smith suggested I reach out." Instantly, you're not a stranger anymore. You're a friend of a friend. Second, state your value proposition. Don't talk about what you want. Talk about what you can offer them. "Jane mentioned you're expanding into the European market, and I have some experience that might be helpful." Third, create urgency and make it convenient. Make it easy for them to say yes. "I'll be in your area next Tuesday. I could swing by your office for a quick 15-minute conversation," or whenever works best for you. Fourth, offer an alternative. If they can't meet right away, secure a follow-up. "If next week doesn't work, maybe we could schedule a brief call the following week." By never calling cold, you transform a high-rejection activity into a high-success one. You're no longer an interruption. You're a welcome opportunity. But often, between you and the person you want to reach, there's a gatekeeper, an executive assistant who has complete power to either open the door or keep it shut. Many people see gatekeepers as obstacles to overcome. Ferrazzi says this is a massive mistake. Your goal should be making the gatekeeper your ally. Treat them with genuine respect. Learn their name. Ask about their day. Remember, they're often their boss's most trusted advisor. They know the schedule, the priorities, the challenges. They're not just assistants. They're key associates. Ferrazzi learned this lesson the hard way, when his own assistant clashed with the chief executive's powerful executive assistant, Mary. Suddenly, getting on the executive's calendar became nearly impossible. His expense reports got scrutinized. His work life turned into a nightmare. The lesson was crystal clear. Never get on the bad side of a gatekeeper. Befriend them, respect their influence, and they'll become one of your most valuable allies. Now let's say you've made the connection. You've had a great meeting. The conversation is over. What happens next? This next step is incredibly simple, yet so few people actually do it. and it's the single most important key to turning a brief encounter into a lasting relationship. Follow up or fail. Think about how much information bombards us every single day. Names, faces, conversations, they all blur together. If you meet someone and don't follow up, you risk becoming just another forgotten contact, lost in their mental attic. Ferrazzi's rule is to follow up within 12 to 24 hours. A simple email works perfectly. "It was great meeting you today. I really enjoyed our conversation about," and mention something specific you discussed. "Let's stay in touch." That simple act does two crucial things. First, it reminds them who you are and reinforces the positive impression you made. Second, it demonstrates that you're organized, thoughtful, and that you genuinely value the connection. Good follow-up alone puts you ahead of 95% of everyone else. But following up isn't a one-time thing. It's about continuously staying in touch. Ferrazzi calls this pinging. A ping is a quick, casual touchpoint. It might be forwarding an interesting article, leaving a quick hello on voicemail, or sending a happy birthday message. He tells a powerful story about someone named Kent Blossel. Kent was a contact he hadn't spoken with in over a year. One afternoon, Ferrazzi's calendar reminded him it was Kent's birthday. He called him up and, without any greeting, launched straight into his best rendition of "Happy Birthday." When he finished singing, there was complete silence on the other end. Then he heard Kent, clearly choked up, audibly fighting back tears. "You remembered my birthday," he said. "This year, nobody remembered my birthday. Thank you so much." People never forget gestures like that. In a world that's becoming increasingly digital and impersonal, a small human touch can create an enormous impact. Don't kid yourself. Everyone cares about their birthday. Pinging is like fertilizer for your growing garden of relationships. You have to continuously nurture your network, or it will wither. As your network expands, you'll discover that some people are far more connected than others. Malcolm Gladwell called them connectors, and Ferrazzi refers to them as super connectors. These are people who seem to know absolutely everyone. They're headhunters, politicians, journalists, restaurant owners. Their entire job revolves around knowing people. Befriending a super connector is like gaining instant access to their entire network. You suddenly become just 2 degrees away from thousands of people across many different industries. So how do you connect with them? The same way you connect with anyone, by offering genuine value. Help them find a candidate for a position they're trying to fill. Give them a compelling story idea. Become a regular customer at their establishment. When you help a connector, they'll be eager to help you in return. This leads to a more sophisticated strategy, expanding your network by merging it with someone else's. Ferrazzi describes meeting Lisa, who managed the glamorous Hotel Bel Air in Los Angeles. They were both super connectors in their own right, but they operated in completely different worlds. He in business, she in hospitality and entertainment. He made a simple suggestion. "Let's co-host a few dinner parties. You invite half the guests, I'll invite the other half. We'll split the cost, and we'll both meet lots of interesting new people." The parties were incredibly successful. By merging their networks, they created an exciting mix of people and generated tremendous value for everyone involved. This is social arbitrage, bringing people together from different worlds and creating fresh opportunities in the process. This brings us to a crucial point. All these techniques and strategies are completely useless if you're not someone people actually want to be around. You need to be interesting. Ferrazzi calls this having content. Content is your expertise, your unique perspective. It's what you know that others don't. It's what makes you valuable. Being known is just fame. Being known for something worthwhile, that's respect. Early in his career, he realized he couldn't compete purely on technical skills. So he'd identify the next big concept in the business world, things like total quality management or re-engineering, and completely immerse himself in it. He'd read everything available, talk to all the experts, and become the go-to person on that subject. That was his content. It set him apart. It made him interesting. What are you genuinely curious about? What could you become an expert in? It doesn't have to be related to your job. It could be a hobby, a passion, a side project. Your uniqueness is your strength. Develop it. Read voraciously. Learn constantly. Form your own perspective. When you have something meaningful to say, people will want to listen. This is the foundation of building your personal brand. In today's world, you are a brand. Everything you do, how you dress, how you communicate, the quality of your work, sends a message about who you are. Your brand is your promise to the world. It communicates what you offer and why you're different. To build a powerful brand, you need relentless focus on what you do that adds unique value, and then you need to broadcast it, write articles, speak at events. Take on projects that others avoid. Create your own version of the Nike swoosh. In a world of endless options, you have a simple choice: be distinctive or become extinct. As you become more successful and get closer to positions of power, Ferrazzi offers one final, critical warning: never let success go to your head. He shares a painful story from his college years. After being featured in the New York Times for his run for city council, he received a personal note from the famous conservative intellectual William F. Buckley, Jr. Buckley invited him to his home. Ferrazzi was thrilled. During the visit, he pitched Buckley on an idea for a new foundation at Yale. In his excitement, he genuinely believed he had Buckley's full support and commitment. He returned to campus and started telling everyone, raising money based on the famous name. His ego soared. But it was all a misunderstanding. Buckley remembered things very differently. The foundation fell apart, the promised money evaporated, and Ferrazzi was left publicly humiliated. His friends, who had grown tired of his bragging, didn't rush to his defense. The lesson was brutal but necessary. Arrogance is poisonous. It makes you forget your true friends and the values that got you where you are. As you climb the mountain, stay humble. Help others climb alongside you. Your most valuable connections are often the ones you've already made, at every level. This is why mentoring matters so much. Connecting is always a two-way street. You need to find mentors, and you need to find people to mentor. Finding a mentor isn't about asking some successful person, "Will you be my mentor?" It's about showing up consistently, adding value, and proving you're worth their time and investment. Ferrazzi's relationship with Pat Loconto, the head of Deloitte, started because he had the courage to approach him at a cocktail party. It flourished because he made a genuine commitment to work tirelessly to help Pat and his firm succeed. A great mentor is worth more than any salary or impressive job title. They invest in you as a whole person. But just as you reach up for mentorship, you must also reach back. Mentor younger people. Share what you've learned. The loyalty and satisfaction you gain from helping someone else grow is truly priceless. To teach is to learn twice. Ultimately, all these principles come together to create an entirely different way of living. People often talk about work-life balance. Ferrazzi thinks balance is nonsense. It's a myth. He argues that trying to rigidly separate your professional and personal life is a losing battle. Instead of building walls between them, find ways to integrate them. His life is a constant mix of travel, meetings, and calls, but it's also rich with friendships, dinner parties, and shared interests. The people he works with often become the people he socializes with. His clients become his friends, and his friends sometimes become his clients. When your life is filled with people you genuinely care about, and who genuinely care about you, the whole concept of balance becomes irrelevant. You're not balancing anything, you're just living one integrated, fulfilling life. The world has never been more ready for this message. We're living in what you might call the connected age. The internet has demolished geographic boundaries, connecting us in ways previous generations never imagined possible. Rugged individualism is gradually giving way to community and collaboration. Success is no longer a solo journey, it's a collective effort. Living a connected life isn't just a strategy for career advancement, it's a blueprint for a better life overall. It's about building a legacy not of wealth or recognition, but of genuine contribution. It's about weaving together a rich tapestry of relationships, where each thread represents someone you've helped, a bond you've created, a life you've touched. The ultimate message of Never Eat Alone is this: it's not about what you accumulate, it's about what you contribute. It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, and you absolutely cannot do it alone. When you really break it down, Never Eat Alone is a book with a very simple premise that's surprisingly challenging to actually live out. The difficulty isn't understanding the concepts. They're pretty intuitive. The real challenge is putting them into practice consistently. It asks us to fundamentally rewire how we think about success and how we relate to other people. We grow up in a culture that celebrates the lone genius, the self-reliant individual, the self-made success story. This book quietly but convincingly dismantles that myth, replacing it with something that feels far more human and true. Our greatest strength comes from our connections with others. What strikes me most about Keith Ferrazzi's message is its deep humanity. He strips away the cold, calculating nature typically associated with networking, and reframes it as genuine service. That shift from "what can I get" to "what can I give" changes everything. It's a philosophy that extends far beyond business into every aspect of life. It's about becoming the kind of friend, colleague, and community member that people can genuinely rely on. It's recognizing that your success is fundamentally intertwined with the success of those around you. When you help others win, you win too. For someone just starting their journey, maybe a student or early in their career, this message is incredibly empowering. It tells you that you don't need an impressive degree, substantial wealth, or powerful family connections to succeed. Your greatest asset is your ability to build genuine, authentic relationships. Your willingness to be generous with your time, knowledge, and connections is a form of currency that can take you anywhere you want to go. So how can you start applying these ideas right now? Here are a few simple, practical steps. First, redefine networking as helping. For the next week, make it your personal mission to help one person every single day without expecting anything back. It could be as simple as connecting two friends who you think would hit it off, sending an encouraging message to a classmate who's struggling, or offering to help a teacher with something after class. Just practice flexing that generosity muscle. Second, do your homework. The next time you're meeting someone new, a teacher, a potential mentor, even a classmate for a group project, spend just 10 minutes beforehand learning something about them. Find a common interest, a shared experience, or something you genuinely admire about their work. Starting a conversation from a place of authentic interest changes everything. Third, master the follow-up. After the next meaningful conversation you have with someone new, send them a simple email within 24 hours. Just a brief note saying it was great to meet them. This single habit, more than almost anything else, will set you apart and make you memorable. Ultimately, Never Eat Alone reminds us that in a world that often feels isolating and overly competitive, our greatest source of strength, happiness, and success is actually each other. It's a call to build a life not of transactions, but of meaningful relationships. A life where every shared meal is an opportunity to connect, every conversation is a chance to give, and every day offers an opportunity to build a community that lifts everyone higher. That was a summary of Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. We've covered the major ideas today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a photograph of an amazing meal. You can see what's in it, you can appreciate how it's arranged, but you can't actually taste it. The real nourishment comes from reading the book yourself. It's in the smaller stories, the personal reflections, and those quiet moments when a single sentence connects with something deep inside you in a way you weren't expecting. This summary is your preview, designed to help you decide if this is a book worth your time. If anything we've discussed today has sparked something in you, I really encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning techniques. It's an experience that can genuinely shift how you see your place in the world. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this valuable, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next deep dive into another transformative book. Your support helps us continue creating content like this, and it means we can keep learning and growing together. Thanks so much for listening.